You step off the L train at dawn, the screech of metal on metal echoing like a warning shot, and you're already in the thick of it. This is Chicago, not the postcard version with gleaming skyscrapers piercing the clouds, not the magnificent mile where tourists snap selfies under the shadow of the bean, but the real one, the one that chews you up and spits you out. We're talking about a city of 2.7 million souls, where the Loop hums with billion-dollar deals and the Gold Coast flaunts $50 million condos. Just a 20-minute drive from Englewood, where a single mom's rent-devoured paycheck leaves her kids scavenging for dinner. But zoom in on the south and west sides, those sprawling 77 neighborhoods stitched together by crumbling viaducts and pothole-riddled streets, and you'll find a 50-square-mile pressure cooker. Over 600 homicides a year, even in quieter times. That's one every 14 hours. Like clockwork in a factory no one wants to admit is running. Crime here, it's not just stats. It's 3,000 violent incidents per 100,000 residents, triple the national average, with carjackings up 20% last year alone, muggings that hit anywhere from Lincoln Park alleys to your doorstep on the north side. And that's the reported stuff. Whispers say half the assaults, the break-ins, the bicycle thefts by those professional crews never even touch a police log. Life expectancy? Try 68 years on the south side, a full 18 years shaved off the 86 you get in Streeterville. That's generations lost to lead pipes, gunshots, and despair, a gap wider than the Chicago River on a stormy day. Here's the thing, this wasn't some cosmic roll of the dice. Chicago was forged in fire. Literally, the Great Fire of 1871 razed it to the ground, but we rebuilt it as a meatpacking empire, a steel behemoth on the backs of black migrants fleeing Jim Crow South in the Great Migration, only to slam into redlining walls that locked them out of the American dream. Fast forward to the 60s. White flight hollows out the core, leaving behind a vacuum filled with crack vials and Reagan's war on the vulnerable. Psychiatric beds slashed from 30,000 statewide to under 5,000 by the 90s, dumping 25,000 souls onto frozen streets with nothing but a bus token and a bottle. Then the '08 crash hits like a sledgehammer, foreclosing black wealth at rates 5 times higher than whites, turning brick bungalows into boarded-up ghosts. Public housing. The CHA's plan for transformation in 2000 promised renewal but delivered demolition. 13,000 units gone, replaced by mixed-income towers that priced out the poor, scattering families like ash in the wind. Now, with migrants pouring in, over 40,000 since 2022, a humanitarian surge that's noble in intent but crushed under a $300 million tab, we're fusing homelessness with border chaos. Tents sprouting along the Kennedy Expressway like urban kudzu, while City Hall scrambles with lotteries for 2,000 shelter beds in a sea of 80,000 unsheltered. Add the opioid ghost, fentanyl-laced blues claiming 1,000 lives a year, 50 times deadlier than heroin, turning viaducts into morgues where a single pill, cheaper than a CTA fare, erases tomorrow. Let me walk you through a day in this grind, hour by blistering hour, because Chicago doesn't sleep. It survives. It's 5 a.m., and the street sweepers roar in under Municipal Code 7-36-010, those hulking machines that demand you pack your life into a shopping cart before they hose away your cardboard kingdom. You've got one toilet per 300 folks at the nearest day center, lines snaking like rush hour traffic on the Dan Ryan, where a wrong glance means wait until your bladder's screaming. Breakfast, if you're lucky, a church basement slings oatmeal for the faithful. Join the service or starve. That's the toll. By 7, you're hustling recyclables. 500 cans for $15 at the buyback, dodging the packs of teens who've already jacked 2 cars that morning, their taillights vanishing into the gray dawn. School's a crapshoot. 41% chronic absenteeism in CPS last year. Kids ghosting class because the walk's a gauntlet of gangs and gunfire. Or moms doubled over from untreated asthma. That medieval plague roaring back in the projects where roaches feast on holes in the walls and lead dust from pre-78 pipes turns playgrounds into poison zones. Noon hits, and the heat wave mercy comes early this year. 95 degrees by June, but winter's the real assassin. Winds off the lake whipping -20 chills that claim 50 frozen bodies annually. Hypothermia sneaking in while you huddle under a viaduct. Work, Gig apps pay $12 an hour if the algorithm likes you, but good luck affording that 2,500 one-bedroom when half your check vanishes to slumlords hiking rents 15% yearly, or the property taxes that spiked 30% since 20, taxing you out of your own home. Unemployment? Black and Latino folks twice as likely to be jobless, funneled into dead-end hustles while the finance bros in the loop sip $18 lattes, their firms hoarding $1 trillion in assets just 10 miles from food deserts where fresh produce costs more than gold. Afternoon bleeds into evening. You hit the corner store for a Lucy and a prayer, but 1 in 4 women here dodges sexual assault yearly, shadows lengthening with the risk. Night falls like a sentence. Shelters run lotteries, 3,000 beds for 80,000 dreamers, leaving you to the elements where robberies spike 40% after dark, or worse, the pop, pop, pop of stray bullets turning block parties into crime scenes. Sleep. If it comes, it's shallow, haunted by the wail of sirens. Chicago PD's $2 billion budget buys 12,000 cops, but response times stretch to 20 minutes on the south side, half what they are downtown. And the mental toll? 95% of our youth call it a crisis, with 60% witnessing violence weekly. PTSD rates rivaling war vets, all while school shrinks to half days because buses can't navigate the chaos. This is structural violence at its cruelest, a city hemorrhaging $1 billion yearly on solutions that balloon homelessness 50% in a decade. Prop 14's $500 million for housing. It birthed just 800 units at $400,000 a pop, strangled by union rules, NIMBY zoning, and a homeless industrial complex, funneling billions into NGOs that keep the cycle spinning for 40,000 jobs. Taxes? We're talking a $1 billion deficit staring down fiscal year 2025. Pensions eating 25% of the budget like a black hole, while slush funds prop up failing schools entangled in $9 billion debt. Myths die hard. Just get a job. Half arrive employed, but $16 minimum wage versus $3,000 median rent is math that doesn't add. Plus, the catch-22 of no address means no ID, no bank, no shot. It's designed this way. Red lines beget food. Deserts beget obesity epidemics. 40% adult rate, triple the suburbs. Disparities that dock black kids 20 points on reading tests before they hit kindergarten. But it doesn't have to end like this. Look to Minneapolis. Slashed homelessness 40% with housing first, plunking folks in apartments at 30% of income, no strings, saving $50 million in ER visits and jails. Or Vienna, where social housing caps rent citywide, life expectancy gaps erased overnight. Chicago could build 100,000 units in 5 years. $4 billion, peanuts next to our $90 billion GDP, the 5th fattest in the U.S., mixing supportive pads for the addicted, transitional spots for families, rapid rehousing for the working poor, ditch the lotteries for a single intake system, one boss calling shots instead of 50 fiefdoms. Legal tweaks, cap rent hikes at 5%, tax vacant luxury towers, funnel TIF slush to south side shovels. 3 paths ahead. Status quo? By 2030, 150,000 on the streets, typhus and TB endemic, youth fleeing like rats from a sinking ship, crackdown, mass sweeps under quality of life ordinances, $100,000 a head in Cook County Jail, dispersing the pain to suburbs that scream, not in my backyard, or redemption, scale housing first, weaving job pipelines and mental health hubs in every ward, prevention via universal vouchers, turn the Windy City from a gale of grief into a breeze of belonging. This is Chicago, a colossus of contrasts where the blues wail eternal from smoky clubs, but the real dirge is the one hummed by the forgotten. The hustlers pushing carts through blizzards, the moms mapping safe routes home. It's not just a city, it's a reckoning. Will we rebuild it for all, or let the rust claim another generation? The L's pulling in now, your stop.